Now it's time to learn about JavaScript objects. Objects are a really big subject. In fact, JavaScript is often called an object-based programming language, which means that the language is made up of different types of objects. You have learned that many core JavaScript features like strings, arrays, numbers, and boolean, for example, are either an object or can be treated as an object. But what exactly is an object? One of the simplest ways to think of an object is something that has properties and methods. A property is like a variable that belongs to the object, and a method is something that object can do or that can be done to the object. An array, for example, is also an object and it has a property named length. It also has many methods that let you do something to the array or with the elements in the array. For example, the push method adds an element to the end of an array. There are even programming patterns that are object-oriented or that specifically use object as a flexible way of developing applications. But that's part of more advanced JavaScript programming, which you'll learn about in the later courses. In this and upcoming several lectures, you are going to focus on one specific use for objects, storing and accessing related data. So far, you have learned two ways of storing data with JavaScript: assigning a value to a variable and storing a list of values in an array. JavaScript objects let you store data as what are called key-value pairs or property-value pairs. A key or property name is like a variable name, and a value is like the value of that variable. In other words, you might think of an object as a single item that holds multiple variables. Now let's look at how to create an object. You start by assigning what's called an object literal to a variable. The curly braces assigned to the variable name represents an object literal. You can't do much with an empty object, so you'll usually add data inside the object. Inside the braces, you add a property name, also called a key, followed by a colon and a valid value, like a string. Notice that in this example, the property name or key is not within quotes. The key acts like a variable name, so the rules of variable names apply to it. Only use letters, numbers, a $sign, and underscore, and don't start the name with a number. The colon separates the property name from its value. And the value can be any of the valid JavaScript values you have learned about: a string, number, boolean, array, or even another object. You separate each property value pair with a comma, same as how you separate elements in an array with commas. To make object literals more readable, developers place each key value pair on its own line. In addition, each line is indented inside the object. This makes it easier to see that those lines belong to the object. Now you might understand why they are called object literals. You literally write out the object and the contents inside it in one statement.